So, good morning everyone. I am Rose Jane Arias. So, in this video, I discuss about the area measurements in Simpson's method and planimeter method. So we continue the discussion. So, Simpson's rule or Simpson's method. So Simpson's rule is a numerical method that approximates the value of a definite integral by using quadratic functions. So this method is named after the English mathematician Thomas Simpson on 1710 to 1761. So this Simpson's rule is based on the fact that given 3 points, we can find equation of a quadratic through the points. So this is the formula of Simpson's rule. So the Simpsons of A of B, F times X equal X to approximate the delta of X over 3 times F of X0 plus 4F times X of 1 plus 2F times X of 2 plus 4F times X n minus 1 plus F equals n. So where delta of X equals B, where delta of X equals B minus A over N. So N is subdivision of the function. It is an even number. A is a point of the start of the function graph. B is the point at the end of the function graph. So this is the Simpson's rule diagram showing that approximate using Simpson's rule. So mao ni siya. So there are the two variations of the rule. So the first is Simpson's 1/3 rule and the second is Simpson's straight rule. So there are the two variations of the rule. So first is 1/3 rule. So Simpson's 1/3 rule or Simpson's rule is in German and some other languages. It is named after Johannes Kepler, who derived it in 1615 after seeing its use for wine barrels, or barrel rule or Kepler's Faustregel. So the approximate equality in the rule becomes exact if f or formula is a polynomial up to quadratic degree. So Simpson's 3-8 rule, so also called Simpson's second rule, requires one more function evaluation inside the integration range, and it is exact if f is a polynomial up to cubic degree. So this is the formula of 1/3 rule or Simpson's rule. Mao na siya ayang formula. And then next is the Simpson's 3-8 formula rule or 3-8 rule. Of A, so man na siya. Where B minus A equals 3H, so the error of this method is B minus A times 5 over 6,480 F times 4. So here are the examples of Simpson's rule. So a function of x is given by the table of values. Approximate the area under the curve y equals f of x between x equals 0 and x equals 4 using Simpson's rule with n equals 4 subintervals. So here's the solution. So for n equals 4 in subinterval, Simpson's rule is given by the following equations. So Simpson's rule or S is 4 equals the delta of x over 3 divided by f times x of 0 plus 4f times x of 1 plus 2f times x of squared plus 4f times x third plus f times 4. So, substitute, so the width of the interval is the delta of x equals b minus a over n. So, the delta of x equals 4 minus 0 over 4 minus 1. Because 4 minus 0 equals 0, then 4 divided by 4 plus 1. So, 1 siya. So, substitute the value of the functions from the table and calculate the approximate value of the area under the curve. So, the area is S4. So, approximate the value of 1/3 divided by 2 plus 4.7 plus 2.12 plus 4.10 plus 5. So, equals 1/3, 2 plus 28 plus 24 plus 40 plus 5. So, equals 1/3 point 99 or 33. So, amo na siya ang the width of subintervals or the rule within for subintervals. So, next is use Simpson's rule. Use Simpson's rule with n equals 4 to approximate the integral Simpsons from a to 0 square root of x dx. So the solution is, it is easy to see that the width of each subintervals is the delta of x equals b minus a over n. So equals 8. Ang b atong gikuha sa Simpsons from 8 to minus 0 over 4. Kaya ang over 4 is the approximate integral. So 8 minus 0 equals 0. So 8 divided by 4 equals 2. So mao na siya nakuha og 2. So and the endpoints of x, y have coordinates. So na-coordinate siya. Mao na siya ang 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So calculate the functions of the value at the points of x. So f times x point 0 equals f of 0 equals square root of 0 equals 0. So same lang po siya sa next. So f times x of 1 equals f equals 2 and the square root of 2. Then f, the x squared times f, kaya i-time siya. So x times x equals 4 and the square root of 4 equals 2. Then f times 3 equals f 6. So the square root of 6 is 6. So f times 4 equals f equals 8. So the square root of 8 equals 2 for 2. So substitutes all the values into Simpson's rule formula. So the Simpson's rule 8 from 8 to 0 is square root of x dx. Approximate the delta of x over 3 and f times x plus 4f times x plus 2f squared plus f4 times 3 plus f x times 4 equals 2/3 divided by 0 plus 4 point square root of 2 plus 2.2 plus 4 square root of 6 plus 2 of 2 equals 2/3 equals 2/3 of 16 of 6 and plus 4 square root of 6 equal the approximate value of calculations is 14.86. So the true solutions for the integral is Simpson's rule from 8 to 0 is the square root of x dx equals from a to 0 x 1/2 dx equals x of 3 over 2 divided by 3 over 2 times 8. So x equals 2/3 square root of x third times 8 equals 8 third. And then 2/3 divided by 2 square root of 9 equals 2/3 point 16. Kaya gitimes man siya. Mo nakuha siya og 16. So, i-equals na pod nato siya. I-times 2 na pod nato siya. So, 32 divided by 2 times 2 divided by 3 is equals. So, approximate or equals 15.10. So, hence, the approximating the integral is Simpson's rule equals 15.08 minus 14.86 divided by 15.8. So equals 0.015 or 1.5%. So mo na siya ang solutions. So let's continue. So the second topic of my report is planimeter method. So the planimeter method is the area of the land in place surveying and determined by various methods. So this area is determined by a particular method is used for many purposes, such as to determine the quantities of earthwork, fixing the boundary of the field, and thus calculating the area based upon which the revenue is paid. So the metric units of area are square, meter, or hectares. So a planimeter is a precise instrument which measures the area of land of any shape with more accuracy. So there are two types of planimeter. So the first type of planimeter is the answer polar planimeter and the second one is roller planimeter. So the various components or parts of a polar planimeter is as follows. So tracing arrow and tracing point, anchor arm. So the third is rotating wall. The fourth is graduated drum, desk, and magnifier. So this is the polar planimeter diagram or pictures. So this side is the anchor arm, the tangent index screw, the dial. So let's continue. So planimeter method, it is consists of two arms hang at a point known as the pivot point. So one of the two arms is anchor arm, whose length is generally fixed. Anchor arm has got anchor point, which fix either inside the plan or outside the plan, depending upon tracing arm reach. So other arm is called tracing arm, having tracing point and its end. So the length of the tracing arm is varied by means of a fixed screw which is attached with a slow motion screw. So the procedure is to find the area of the plan. The anchor point is either placed outside or inside depending upon whether the area is small or big. So the point of then is marked on the boundary of area and tracing point is kept over it. So the initial reading of the wheel is then taken. Then the tracing point is moved along the boundary till it comes to the original. So the formula is the area equals M times F minus I plus minus 10 and plus C. So where F is the final reading, I is the initial reading, M is a multiplying constant, it is equal to per area per revolution of that dialer. So N is the number of times the zero marks of the dial pass the fixed index marks, and C is the instrument constants. So the example of the planimeter method or formula is an area was measured using a planimeter with anchor point inside the figure. So inside, ato ang pangitahon ang area sa anchor point inside the figure. So the initial and final reading were 4.129 and 6.387. So the zero marks on this pass the fixed index mark once in clockwise direction. So if the value of M is 100 square centimeter and constant of the instrument is 24.686, so calculate the area of the figure. So the final reading is the 6.387, the initial reading is 4.127, the value of M is 100 square meter, so the initial, the N constant, so the N is the plus minus I, and constant is 24.686. So the solution is initial reading equals 4.129. The final reading is 6.387. The value of M equals 100. The constant is 24.687. And the number of zero is plus minus I. So the area of M times F minus I na plus minus 10 and plus C. So, mao na siya ang atong formulang gamiton. So, the area equals 100 times 6.387 minus 4.129 plus 10 times 1 plus 24.686. So, A equals ato sang i-add tanan para makuha ang iyahang area times 100. So the area of figure is equals 36.94.4 centimeter squared. So before I end my video is here's the video clip on land surveying.
All kinds of measuring tools in our everyday lives. Rulers, protractors, squares, and tape measures, etc. These work fine for small and medium-sized projects, but what if we need to lay out something big, like a road, bridge, dam, or pipeline? Hey, I'm Brady, and this is Practical Engineering. On today's episode, we're talking about one of the civil engineer's most important companions, the land surveyor. And we're going to do a little bit of surveying you can try at home. This video is sponsored by Blue Apron.
squared. So if you have any questions or clarifications, let's continue on my next meeting for my question and answers. So thank you, and so that's all for my report, and thank you, and God bless us all.